The security camera timestamp reads 14:23:17 on a Wednesday afternoon in August. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Building 427. What this grainy footage captures will be analyzed in training presentations for years to come, dissected frame by frame, studied like scripture, by people trying to understand how age and violence can coexist in the same body. In the frame, an old woman sleeps on a government-issue couch. White hair cropped military short despite retirement. Deep lines carved into weathered skin that speaks of decades under harsh suns. Her posture seems relaxed, vulnerable even. The kind of elderly woman you'd offer a seat to on public transit or help carry groceries. She is neither vulnerable nor what she appears. The two young soldiers approaching her, with a permanent marker and stupid grins, don't know this yet. They're about to receive an education. The tuition will be paid in bruised wrists and shattered assumptions. The lesson will take exactly 2 seconds. North Carolina heat in August transforms the world into a furnace. Fort Bragg's building, 427, offers one mercy, a window-mounted air conditioner held together by determination and the collective prayers of every soldier who's ever sought refuge here between training rotations. The machine protests its existence with a perpetual rattle, but it moves air, and moving air means life. Private First Class Dakota Sullivan is 22 years old and has never encountered a boundary she respected. Her phone is her primary weapon. 15,000 TikTok followers. Not influencer status, but enough to feed the validation addiction that modern life cultivates. She films everything: barracks life, range days, mess hall drama, the grinding routine of military service transformed into 60-second dopamine hits. 8 months at Fort Bragg, 0 deployments. Combat remains theoretical, something that happens to other people in grainy news footage. She doesn't yet understand that there are truths phones can't capture. Realities that resist reduction to content. "Watch this," Dakota whispers to Specialist Wesley McAllister, phone already recording. Wes stands 6'2", carries himself with the careful neutrality of someone who learned early that staying quiet keeps you safe. 23 years old. Dakota's best friend, which makes him complicit in most of her schemes. He shifts weight from foot to foot, some instinct signaling caution. 3 other soldiers cluster near the vending machines. Spectators, enablers, waiting for entertainment. The old woman on the couch sleeps, or appears to sleep. She'd wandered into the day room 20 minutes earlier, asking directions to the bathroom. Said she was attending a reunion, Gulf War era, civilian contractors and observers. The type of gathering where people with more years behind them than ahead share stories nobody else wants to hear, feeling mortality's weight increase with each passing minute. She'd requested permission to rest. The soldiers had shrugged. Public space. Free country. Why not? Within 5 minutes, her breathing had settled into the deep rhythm that signals unconsciousness, or mimics it well enough to fool the untrained. Dakota sees opportunity wrapped in white hair and vulnerability. The marker emerges from her pocket. Permanent ink. Black. The kind that requires days of scrubbing and public shame to remove. "Grandma's about to wake up looking like a canvas," Dakota says, grin widening. Wes's gut tightens. "I don't know, man. Something feels off." "Relax. What's she gonna do? File a complaint." Dakota uncaps the marker. The small click cuts through the room's ambient noise. Barely audible, but loud enough. The old woman's breathing doesn't change. Her eyelids don't flutter. Nothing about her visible state shifts. Yet something happens beneath the surface. Ancient circuitry completing. Alarms activating in systems built by necessity and refined by repetition. Dakota approaches. 3 steps. 2. 1. The marker's tip touches the woman's forehead. What happens next violates everything Dakota thought she understood about physics, age, and cause-effect relationships. The old woman's eyes open. Not the gradual surfacing of someone pulled from dreams. They simply transition from closed to open, already focused, already processing. Threat assessment. Like sleep had been a performance she could abandon instantly. 1 second elapsed. Her right hand moves with terrible efficiency. Not fast in the way action movies depict speed. Inevitable. Like water finding cracks in concrete, her fingers close around Dakota's wrist. The grip contains iron strength that shouldn't exist in someone 3/4 of a century old, yet does. Dakota gasps. The marker drops. 2 seconds elapsed. The old woman's left hand reaches out, finds Wesley's collar despite him standing outside arm's reach. Physics suggests this shouldn't work. Muscle memory doesn't care about physics. She pulls. Suddenly, he's part of this situation, suddenly involved, suddenly on the floor beside Dakota. Both soldiers immobilized by joint locks. Their combatives instructors would admire and struggle to escape. The old woman is standing. The transition from horizontal to vertical happens without visible intermediate stages like film frames got deleted. One moment prone, next moment combat ready, knees bent, weight distributed, free hand raised in a guard position that predates modern martial arts systems, something carved into reflex by environments where hesitation meant death. Her breathing remains steady, controlled, heart rate barely elevated. This isn't adrenaline. This is protocol. Threat assessed, she says, clear voice, measured, not raised. Stand down. Her eyes scan the room with professional speed, cataloging exits, counting bodies, measuring distances, searching for dangers that exist only in memories 50 years old but permanently fresh. Dakota can't breathe properly. The forearm across her throat creates immediate clarity about her situation. She's on the floor of a day room at Fort Bragg and reality has stopped making sense. The last 2 seconds exist as blank space in her memory like her brain couldn't process events happening that fast. Ma'am, Wesley manages voice strained, we're American soldiers. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. You're safe here. Something shifts in the old woman's expression. The targeting system receives new data processes adjusts. Combat stance softens incrementally. She examines the two young people pinned beneath her control, looks at the dropped marker, looks at the frozen soldiers pressed against walls like they're trying to phase through plaster. She releases both soldiers, steps back carefully. Her posture returns to what it was before, the grandmother shape, the harmless-looking elder. But the performance is transparent now. Everyone has seen what lives underneath. You attempted to mark my face, she states, not questioning, observing. Dakota scrambles upright, rubbing her wrist where the old woman's grip left white compression marks that will purple by evening, a bruise shaped like consequences. I'm sorry, ma'am. It was supposed to be funny. I didn't mean what? The old woman's tone carries no anger. Only the patient weariness of someone who's had this exact conversation across multiple decades. To assault someone while they're vulnerable, in certain contexts, that's how people die. In others, it's how they learn not to make assumptions. She bends down, retrieves the marker, examines it with the curiosity of an archaeologist studying artifacts from a foreign culture. Keep this, she says, placing it in Dakota's trembling hand. First lesson, never assume weakness based on appearance. The most dangerous enemy won't advertise danger. Remember that. It might save your life when appearances lie. The door opens. Command Sergeant Major Coleman Drummond enters. At 53, he radiates the particular authority that comes from 3 decades of service, multiple combat deployments, and the burden of being responsible for training the people who fight wars. Every soldier in the room straightens reflexively. Muscle memory responding to rank and presence. Drummond's eyes sweep the scene with practiced assessment. 2 young soldiers looking bruised and embarrassed. An elderly woman standing calm at room center. Other soldiers attempting to become invisible. Then recognition hits. His entire bearing transforms. Authority softens. A genuine smile breaks across his face, the kind that can't be manufactured, that comes from deep places. No way, Drummond says. No goddamn way. Josephine Blackwood. The old woman turns, studies him briefly, nods with recognition. Coleman Drummond. Last time I saw you, you were a specialist, convinced a 68-year-old woman couldn't teach you anything about shooting. That was 9 years ago. Yes, ma'am, you failed me twice before I swallowed my pride. Drummond moves forward, embraces her with warmth that transcends protocol. 2 warriors who've occupied the same arena, who understand things civilians never will. Then he turns toward the young soldiers. The warmth evaporates into something more instructional. Do any of you have even the slightest idea who you just tried to prank? Silence. Dakota shakes her head, still massaging her wrist. Drummond points at Josephine with reverence usually reserved for battlefield memorials. This is Josephine Blackwood, National Rifle Champion 7 consecutive years, 1975 through 1982. Set records that stood for 2 decades. From 1994 to 2013, she served as civilian consultant to the Marine Corps, rewrote sniper doctrine, designed fundamentals training that every Marine sniper studies before touching advanced equipment. He pauses, building emphasis. When the combat ban lifted in 2013, she was 65 years old. You know what she did? Volunteered. Qualified for the Marine Sniper Instructor Program. Became the first female Marine Sniper Instructor in history. Taught from 2014 to 2020. His voice gains intensity. 847 Marine snipers graduated her program. Among those students, 117 confirmed kills in combat operations. Every single one of those students alive today because this woman taught them to see what others miss, to make shots when technology fails to trust fundamentals over convenience. Complete silence dominates the room. And you, Drummond says, locking eyes with Dakota, tried to draw on her face with a marker while she rested. Dakota looks like she might be sick. Sir, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. It was stupid. I was just showing off for... Josephine raises one hand. The apology stops. You were bored. You saw content opportunity. You made assumptions based on age and appearance. She pauses. That assumption pattern will get you killed someday. Perhaps not by a 76-year-old taking a nap, but by the enemy who doesn't match your threat template, by the civilian who isn't actually civilian, by the moment you relax because someone doesn't fit your mental picture of danger. She examines the marker again. Appearances are combat's first deception. Learn to see past surface presentation, or surface presentation will put you in a flag-draped box. Drummond dismisses the spectators. They evacuate quickly, grateful for escape. Only Dakota and Wesley remain. When the door closes, Josephine returns to the couch, apparently intending to continue her interrupted rest. Ma'am, Wesley finds his voice. How is what you did even possible? You were completely asleep. Then you weren't. Then we were on the floor. It was 2 seconds. Josephine's eyes close, but Dakota understands now that this doesn't mean sleep. No, she says. I was resting. There's a fundamental difference. Sleep requires vulnerability. Rest is tactical. I learned to rest without fully sleeping a long time ago. The skill never left. But why? Dakota asks. Extended silence. When Josephine speaks again, her voice carries different texture, more distant, traveling across decades. You want to understand how a 76-year-old woman who looks harmless, moves like a weapon system that's been armed for half a century, how I see threats that aren't there, how reflexes from 1991 still work in 2024. She opens her eyes. Sit down. I'll tell you 6 stories. Pay attention. There won't be a quiz, but there should be. Dakota and Wesley sit. Dakota's phone continues recording. Some instinct tells her this matters, that whatever happens next is important. Josephine settles into what Dakota now recognizes as ready position disguised as rest. Story 1, 1975. I was 27 years old. I'd wanted to join the Marines since age 12. Applied at 18. They rejected me. Women weren't allowed in combat roles. They gave me an administrative position instead. 4 years of filing reports and typing correspondence while men deployed to conflicts. No bitterness colors her voice, just facts. I separated in 1970. If they wouldn't let me fight, I'd find another path. Started competitive shooting, civilian circuits, small matches initially, county level, state level. Got competent, got better, got obsessed. The scene shifts through her words. Dakota can visualize it. A younger Josephine, still strong, still hungry, standing on firing lines with men who didn't take her seriously. National Championships 1975. Camp Perry, Ohio. August heat, similar to this, but drier. Dust coating everything. 300 competitors. 5 women. Me and 4 others trying to prove we belonged in a space that didn't want us. Josephine's eyes remain closed, but she's present somewhere else. Back in 1975. 27 years old and carrying weight the men around her couldn't comprehend. The men had newest generation rifles, top-tier optics. Technology was evolving the sport. Laser rangefinders were emerging. Electronic wind measurement devices. All the tools that make marksmanship easier, more accessible, more dependent on equipment than skill. A slight smile. I carried a Winchester Model 70, iron sights exclusively, no optical magnification. The same rifle my father used teaching me to shoot at 14. The men called it vintage. I called it sufficient. The 1,000-yard cold bore event, single shot, no warm-up rounds, no sighting shots. You receive your rifle, you receive your target, you receive one opportunity. Dakota leans forward unconsciously. Wesley sits motionless. Wind was shifting, gusting between 8 and 12 miles per hour, left to right, then swirling back unpredictably. The kind of conditions that transform shooting from calculation into educated guessing. Josephine opens her eyes briefly. Men with their electronic meters were receiving different readings every 10 seconds. Frustrated, confused. How do you calculate variables that won't hold still long enough to measure? I didn't calculate, she says simply. I observed. Her hands move while she talks, demonstrating teaching even now. There's a phenomenon called mirage, heat waves rising from ground surfaces, visible if you know where to look and how to interpret. They shimmer. They dance. They tell you what wind is doing at various distances. At 200 yards, mirage moved left to right. Fast, that's your first reference. At 500 yards, mirage slowed dramatically, almost stopped. That indicates a wind shadow, some terrain feature blocking airflow. At 800 yards, mirage picked up again. Right to left now. Wind had shifted completely. Her voice takes on the rhythm of someone who's explained this concept 1,000 times to 1,000 different students. You can't trust single-point measurement. You must read the entire path. See the complete picture. From muzzle to target, every 100 yards presents different conditions. Every second brings change. So I observed. For 5 minutes, I just observed. Men were shooting, missing, cursing their equipment. I observed. Then I felt it. She touches her face, her neck. Wind on skin, subtle, but your body knows. My left cheek was cooler. That indicated wind from the left. But my right neck had slight breeze. That meant the wind was beginning to shift back. I had approximately 30 seconds before complete change. I took the shot. Silence holds the room. Bullseye, Josephine says flatly. Dead center, only perfect score that day. Men went silent initially. Then one started clapping, then another, then all of them. Even the ones who'd mocked my rifle. Even the ones who'd said women had no business on the line. The judge asked how I accomplished it. I told him I didn't learn to shoot. I learned to see. Brief pause. That was the day I won my first national championship. Also the day my husband proposed. We'd been dating 3 years. He said he finally understood my capability. Said he wanted to spend his life watching me do impossible things. Her voice softens marginally. It was also the day I reapplied to the Marines. Thought maybe a national championship would change their policy. Thought excellence might open doors. They rejected me again. Women in combat roles. Not yet. Policy is policy. Maybe never. Dakota sees something in Josephine's expression. Not anger, something deeper, something that's had 50 years to calcify into bone. So I decided if they won't let me fight, I'll teach fighters. If I can't serve in uniform officially, I'll serve however possible. Find a way, make a way. I spent the next 16 years competing, winning, setting records, building reputation, establishing credibility, waiting for the door to crack open even slightly. In 1991, it cracked. The narrative shifts again. Josephine's vocal texture changes, becomes harder, more careful. Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm. I was 43 years old, civilian contractor status. They needed people who understood marksmanship to observe and document sniper tactics in combat conditions. Write reports, generate recommendations. I volunteered immediately. They approved because I wasn't official military, not a soldier, just an observer with credentials, someone who could watch and write without being a liability or breaking regulations. They embedded me with a Marine Scout sniper team, 4 men, all younger, all suspicious of the civilian woman carrying a notebook instead of a rifle. Wesley shifts. His posture says he anticipates what's coming. We were in Kuwait, post-invasion phase, mopping up. But combat wasn't finished. Iraqi forces remained active, still lethal. The team drew overwatch duty, protecting a supply route, 3 days and nights, 12-hour shifts each. Josephine's posture tightens incrementally. Hour 48, the men were rotating positions, attempting to maintain sharpness, failing, heat exhaustion, dehydration. Desert doesn't care about training quality. I wasn't permitted to carry weapons, observer status, but I had a spotting scope. I watched. Hour 68, Iraqi patrol, 6 personnel, 600 yards out, moving toward our supply route. Team's sniper established position. Lance Corporal named Torres. Solid kid, good fundamentals. But his scope was fogging, desert heat. Humidity from his breath condensing on the glass. The optic was useless. He couldn't acquire a clear sight picture, couldn't identify the target precisely. Patrol was closing distance, 400 yards, 300. Josephine's voice drops register. I had the spotting scope, perfect visibility. I called the wind. 2 mils right. Hold breath. Now. Torres fired. Clean hit. Patrol scattered. Our position was compromised, but the supply route remained secure. Team leader wanted to recommend me for commendation. Couldn't. I was civilian. Technically not supposed to be in that position. Officially, that shot never occurred. She meets their eyes directly. That was the moment I understood. I could be competent. I could be excellent. I could save lives. But I couldn't be official. Couldn't be recognized. Couldn't be visible in the system. I returned from the Gulf War with notebooks full of observations and hunger that wouldn't quit. The combat ban remained in place, would continue for another 22 years. So I waited. I consulted. I advised. I wrote doctrine that other people would teach. I built reputation in shadows. Dakota's phone shows they've been here 37 minutes. Feels like 10. You asked how I move like that, Josephine says. How I wake ready. How I've been armed for 50 years. She leans forward slightly. Because for 43 years, I watched other people execute the function I was trained for. For 43 years, I was qualified to teach but not permitted to serve. For 43 years, I existed in the space between capable and allowed. That kind of waiting changes you, sharpens you, makes you ready for the moment when opportunity finally appears. Because you know it might only appear once. You know you might only get one chance. In 2013, the combat ban was lifted. I was 65 years old. Most people retire at 65. I enlisted. Her smile is small and fierce. But that's stories 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those come tomorrow, if you return. Before anyone can respond, Josephine's phone vibrates. She glances at the screen. Unknown number. Her expression shifts marginally. Something like recognition mixed with caution. She stands, walks to the window, answers. This is Josephine. Dakota and Wesley can't hear the other side of the conversation. But they watch Josephine's posture change. Shoulders tighten. Free hand forms a fist. I haven't heard that name in 30 years, Josephine says quietly. How did you get this number? Pause. Listening. No, I'm not discussing that. Not over the phone. Not ever. Another pause. Longer. If this is about what I think it's about, you're wasting your time. That situation is closed. Classified. Done. Her jaw sets. Don't contact me again. She ends the call, stares at the phone for a long moment, then seems to remember Dakota and Wesley are present. Ignore that, she says. Old ghosts, they surface sometimes. But her hands shake slightly when she pockets the phone. The first time Dakota has seen her show any physical response to anything. Drummond, still near the door, notices. Gunny, everything okay? Fine, Cole. Just someone from a long time ago trying to dredge up things that should stay buried. She returns to the couch but doesn't settle. The ready rest posture is gone. She's alert now, vigilant in a way that suggests the phone call activated something. Your video, she says to Dakota, clearly attempting to change subject. The one of you trying to mark my face and me putting you on the floor. How many views? Dakota checks. Her eyes widen. 4.2 million. Josephine nods slowly. Good. Maybe it'll teach people not to make assumptions. Maybe it'll remind them that the veteran sitting next to them on the bus might be someone who changed the world and nobody knows. She looks at Drummond. Cole, I need to make another call. Private. Then I'll finish my nap. Then tomorrow, if these two want to hear the rest, I'll tell them why I became an instructor. Why I taught until my body gave out. Why I carry a photo of a dead Marine. And why my daughter hasn't spoken to me in 6 years. She walks toward the door, pauses. Story 3 is about loss. Story 4 is about teaching a stubborn specialist who became a command sergeant major. Story 5 is about the day I qualified at 70 and lost the last person who mattered. Story 6 is about why I stopped. She looks back at Dakota and Wesley. If you want to understand how a harmless-looking grandmother becomes a weapon system that's been armed for 50 years, come back tomorrow. Same location, same couch, same questions you're afraid to ask. The door closes. The day room feels different, heavier, like the air itself absorbed weight from Josephine's stories. Dakota's phone continues recording. The video has been uploading in real time, comments flooding in, thousands, veterans sharing their stories, young people tagging grandparents. The algorithm doing what algorithms do, finding the thing that connects, the thing that matters. Wesley rubs his shoulder where Josephine's grip left its signature. We really messed up, he says. No, Drummond corrects. You got lucky. You tried to prank someone who could have hurt you badly and chose not to. Someone who decided to teach instead of punish. He walks to where Dakota dropped the marker, retrieves it, hands it to her. Keep this. Every time you look at it, remember what she said. Appearances are the first lie. The most dangerous people often look the least threatening. And remember, he adds, she's got 4 more stories to tell. Stories about sacrifice and loss and the cost of doing hard things. Stories that'll change how you see service, how you see veterans, how you see yourself. Be here tomorrow. Listen, learn something. That's how you make this right. Through the window, they can see Josephine walking across the parking lot, phone to her ear again, talking to someone. Her posture is different, defensive, alert. She's 76 years old. She can still move faster than soldiers half her age. She spent 43 years waiting to serve. And tomorrow she'll teach them why the wait was worth it, and why it wasn't, and what that mysterious phone call means. Morning arrives with the subtlety of a flashbang. Dakota Sullivan hasn't slept properly. Every time her eyes closed, she felt that grip on her wrist. Iron strength that defied biological logic that shouldn't exist in someone 3/4 of a century old, but absolutely does. She checks her phone. The video has climbed to 8.3 million views. The comment section has evolved. Early responses were jokes, spectacle, entertainment. Now the veterans have arrived, sharing their own stories, tagging names. Josephine Blackwood appears 2,000 times in the comments. People who served with her, people she trained, people who credit her with their survival. Dakota reads every single one. Wesley waits outside Building 427 when she arrives. Same couch, same setting. Josephine Blackwood sits in identical position. But her eyes are open today, staring at something that exists only in memory. You returned, Josephine says without looking at them. Yes, ma'am. Good. Story 3 is harder than the first two. This one cost me something I can't recover. She finally turns her gaze toward them. Her eyes carry different weight today. Older somehow, burdened. 2015. I'd been teaching 1 year. 67 years old and finally executing what I was designed for. Finally in uniform officially. Finally visible in the system. Her voice maintains steadiness, but something raw lives underneath. I had 43 students that cycle, mostly men, a few women, all younger, all examining me like I was a curiosity. The old lady instructor, the diversity hire, the box the Marine Corps needed to check for appearance sake. I didn't care about their thoughts. I cared about their learning. Josephine reaches into her jacket, produces a small notebook. Worn leather, carried so long the edges have softened into cloth-like texture. This, she says, opening to a specific page, is Lance Corporal Derek Holloway. She displays a photo tucked into the notebook. Young man, 21, maybe 22, red hair, freckles, the kind of face that belongs on recruitment materials. All American, bright, seemingly immortal. He was talented, Josephine says. Natural shooter, good instincts, could read a scope better than students twice his age. Pause. He was also arrogant. The way she delivers this carries no judgment, pure observation. The note-taking of someone who's witnessed this pattern across decades. Week 1, Derek scored perfect on fundamentals assessment. Iron sights at 500 yards. 10 shots, 10 hits. Other students were struggling, missing, learning through failure. Derek was succeeding effortlessly. Week 2, we progressed to wind reading. No electronics, no computers, pure observation, feel, experience. Josephine's hands demonstrate the movements from yesterday, reading invisible currents. Derek didn't want to learn it, said it was outdated methodology, said the Corps issued wind meters for specific reasons. Why learn the antiquated method when technology functions better? I told him technology fails, batteries expire, electronics break, fundamentals endure. He responded, maybe in your era, ma'am, but this is 2015. We have tools now. Wesley winces visibly. Dakota can imagine how that conversation deteriorated. I failed him, Josephine states without inflection. Week 3 evaluation. He couldn't read wind without his meter. I failed him. He was furious, said I was biased against him, said I was stuck in obsolete thinking, said I had no authority to fail someone who could outshoot half the instructors on base. I told him, return when you're ready to learn. Until then, you're dismissed from my program. She closes the notebook carefully, holds it against her chest. He returned 2 weeks later, angrier, but he returned. I pushed him harder, made him spend 8 hours daily watching mirage, feeling wind, reading grass and dust and the way air moves through space. No shortcuts, no tools, pure fundamentals. He hated every minute, but he learned, slowly, reluctantly, he learned. Week 8, he qualified. Not perfectly, but competently. Good enough to graduate, good enough to deploy. Josephine's vocal register drops. I thought I'd accomplished my job. Thought I'd provided what he needed. Sent him forward with skills that would preserve his life. I was incorrect. The temperature seems to decrease. Drummond, standing near the door again, closes his eyes. He knows this story. He was there for the aftermath. Syria, 2015. ISIS remains strong, dangerous. Derek's team drew counter-sniper assignment, urban environment. Raqqa, buildings in rubble and 1,000 concealment positions. Intel indicated an enemy sniper, high-value target, killing civilians, Marines, anyone who moved in certain sectors. Derek's team received the mission, three-person element. Derek on the rifle, his spotter, their security. Josephine opens the notebook again. More than just a photo inside. Pages, handwritten notes, after-action reports, the paper trail documenting what went wrong. The target appeared, fourth-floor window, 800 yards. Derek had the shot. But the wind was swirling urban canyons. Buildings creating eddies and currents that shifted every second. The kind of wind you can't meter accurately. The kind you must feel. Derek's spotter called wind based on their electronic reading. 2.1 mils right. Derek fired. Silence expands to fill all available space. Dakota realizes she's holding her breath. He missed, Josephine says. Not significantly, 6 inches. But in precision shooting, 6 inches is everything. The miss revealed their position. The enemy sniper was competent, better than intelligence suggested, returned fire immediately, suppressed Derek's team, pinned them. In the chaos, Derek attempted to relocate, tried to acquire a second shot, moved too rapidly, made himself visible. The enemy sniper didn't miss. Dakota's hand flies to her mouth. Derek Holloway died on a rooftop in Raqqa, 21 years old, 3 months after graduating my program. Killed because he couldn't read wind without a meter. Because when his technology told him one thing and the environment showed him another, he trusted the wrong source. Josephine's hands tremble now, subtle but visible. I learned about it 2 days later. Command contacted me, asked if I remembered him, asked what I'd taught him. I told them everything, the struggles, the resistance, the eventual qualification. They thanked me for my service, told me it wasn't my fault, told me sometimes soldiers die and there's nothing anyone could have prevented. They were wrong. She looks at Dakota and Wesley with eyes that have carried this weight for 9 years. I should have failed him permanently. Should have refused to graduate him until he'd mastered it completely. Until he could read wind unconsciously. Until fundamentals were so deep in his bones that he'd choose them over technology every single time. But I didn't. I let him through. Told myself he was good enough. Told myself the Corps needed snipers and Derek was competent and that would have to suffice. It didn't suffice. The notebook opens to another specific page. A letter, handwritten, ink faded but words still clear. His mother wrote to me, 3 months after the funeral. Said she didn't blame me. Said Derek was stubborn. Said he made his own choices. Josephine's voice fractures slightly. Then she wrote, but you were his teacher. You should have made him listen. You should have been harder on him. You should have failed him until he got it right, even if it took years. She's correct. Drummond steps forward, his voice gentle but firm. Gunny, we've discussed this extensively. Derek made his own choices. You can't. I can, Josephine interrupts. I was his instructor, his teacher, the person responsible for ensuring he had every tool required to survive. I failed that responsibility. She looks at Dakota. You want to understand why I move like I do, why I'm always ready, why I can't achieve actual sleep. This is why. Because I carry Derek Holloway with me every single day. Because I see his face in every young Marine. Because I know what happens when teaching isn't rigorous enough, when good isn't sufficient, when competent gets people killed. She closes the notebook, returns it to her jacket. After Derek died, I changed, became harder, stricter. No one graduated my program unless they could demonstrate mastery, not competence, mastery. Students complained, said I was excessively tough, unreasonably demanding, too old school. I didn't care. I'd rather have them hate me and survive than like me and die. My passing rate dropped from 80% to 40%. Command summoned me, asked what was wrong, asked why so many failures. I showed them Derek's photo. I read them his mother's letter. They stopped asking. Or Wesley's voice emerges quietly. How many students did you train after Derek? 804. How many died? Josephine meets his eyes directly. 3 IEDs. Not sniper work. Nothing I could have prevented with better training. 804 students, 3 deaths, none from inadequate preparation, none from shortcuts, none from graduating before they were ready. She stands, walks to the window. Outside, Fort Bragg continues its perpetual cycle. Soldiers training, preparing, learning. Derek Holloway taught me something I should have known instinctively. Teaching isn't about passing students. It's about preparing them for the moment when everything fails, when technology breaks, when plans collapse, when all they have is fundamentals and will to survive. After Derek became the instructor I should have been from the beginning, Dakota realizes tears are tracking down her cheeks. She doesn't remember when they started. That's story 3, Josephine says. Loss, failure, the cost of insufficient rigor when rigor is what's needed. She turns from the window. Story 4 is different. Story 4 is about a stubborn specialist who thought a 68-year-old woman had nothing to teach him. A man who learned the same lesson Derek should have learned. A man standing in this room right now. Drummond straightens. Gunny, you don't need to. Yes, I do. They need to hear it. You need to remember it. Josephine returns to the couch. The telling has extracted something from her, but she's not finished. 2016, 1 year after Derek died. I'm 68 years old. My class receives a new student, Specialist Coleman Drummond, 45 years old, 27 years in service, infantry background, combat veteran, multiple deployments, medals, commendations, respect throughout the Corps. Drummond shifts uncomfortably. Cole arrived with a chip on his shoulder, not unusual. Older students frequently do. They've served longer than I've been teaching. They've seen combat. They've survived. What could some elderly female instructor possibly teach them? Week 1, fundamentals. Iron sights exclusively. No scopes, no technology, just rifle target and skill. Cole was decent, not exceptional. He'd been using optical scopes for 20 years. Reverting to iron sights felt like regression to him. I told him master the foundation before building the house. He told me, ma'am, with respect, I've been shooting since before you were an instructor. I know what I'm doing. Josephine's smile is sharp and small. I said, then prove it. 500 yards, iron sights, 10 shot. He achieved 6 hits, 60%, failing grade. He was angry, said the standard was unrealistic, said no one uses iron sights in the field anymore, said I was wasting his time with antiquated methods. I said, you're correct. No one shoots iron sights operationally. But if you can't hit with iron sights, you don't understand shooting. You understand technology. There's a difference. Week 2, wind reading, same progression as Derek. Watch, feel, calculate without tools. Cole struggled. His entire career had been built on equipment, rangefinders, wind meters, ballistic calculators, all the technology that makes shooting easier, faster, more accurate. Without it, he was lost. Drummond's voice is quiet. I remember, worst 2 weeks of my career. Week 3, Josephine continues, the assessment, 1,200 yards. Variable wind, no electronics, pure observation and calculation. I gave Cole the same setup everyone receives. Rifle, ammunition, target, time limit 10 minutes to make 1 shot. He established position, checked everything, adjusted his scope, then he produced his wind meter. I walked over, took it from him, said no. He said, ma'am, this is standard issue equipment. Everyone uses this. I said, everyone fails eventually. Technology breaks. Batteries die. Murphy's Law is operational. What happens then? He said, then I adapt. I said, adapt now. Make the shot without the meter. Show me you can. Wesley leans forward. This is the critical moment, the breaking point. Cole tried, Josephine says. Watched the mirage, felt the wind, did everything I'd been teaching, but he didn't trust it, didn't believe that observation could compete with measurement. He guessed, compromised between what the environment showed him and what he thought the meter would indicate. He missed by 2 feet. I failed him immediately. Drummond nods. Worst day of my career. Cole was furious, said I was stuck in obsolete thinking, said the Marine Corps had evolved and I hadn't, said my methods were antiquated and I was too stubborn to admit it. Josephine's voice remains level, no anger, just memory. I said, you're probably correct. I am stuck in the past where fundamentals mattered, where shooters understood their craft instead of trusting machines, where Marines could operate when everything went wrong. Then I said, you have a choice. Leave my course and request a different instructor, or swallow your pride and learn what I'm teaching. Either way, I won't pass you until you can make that shot without technology. What did he do? Dakota asks. Drummond answers, I left, spent 3 days angry, complained to everyone who'd listen, told them Gunny Blackwood was unreasonable, outdated, wasting everyone's time. Then I went to the range, alone, middle of the night, set up at 1,200 yards. Spent 4 hours just watching, wind, mirage, grass, the way air moves through space. Made 20 shots, missed 18. Returned the next night, missed 15. The night after, missed 12. His voice softens. Week 4. I went back to Gunny Blackwood, requested another chance at the assessment. Josephine picks up the narrative. He showed up different, quieter, more focused, established position at 1,200 yards, no meter, no electronics, pure observation. He took his time, 8 minutes of watching, feeling, calculating. Then he made the shot. Bullseye. No one breathes. I asked him what changed, Josephine says. He told me I stopped trusting tools and started trusting training. That's the moment he became a real sniper. Not someone who operates equipment, someone who understands the craft. Drummond's expression is complex. Pride mixed with memory of humiliation. Growth mixed with cost. Cole graduated top of his class, went on to instruct, taught my methods to his students, rose through ranks, became the command sergeant major he is today. And every student he teaches learns fundamentals before technology, iron sights before scopes, observation before measurement, because he remembers what it took to learn, what it cost to be broken down and built back better. She looks at him. You saved lives, Cole. Every student you taught using those methods. Every sniper who made a shot when their equipment failed because they trusted fundamentals. That's Derek's legacy too. His death taught me to be harder. Your stubbornness proved it was worth it. Drummond's jaw tightens. I think about Derek sometimes. Wonder if I'd have listened if I'd known his story first. Maybe, maybe not. Some lessons only stick when we learn them the hard way. Before Josephine can continue, her phone vibrates again. Same unknown number from yesterday. She looks at the screen, jaw setting. She answers, I told you not to call again. Pause. Listening. Her expression darkens. That's not possible. She died, 2004. I was at the funeral. Longer pause. Her free hand forms a fist. If this is some kind of psychological operation, it won't work. I'm not the person you think I am anymore. That situation is closed. She ends the call abruptly, stares at the phone. Dakota and Wesley exchange glances. Something is wrong. Gunny Drummond steps closer. What's going on? Josephine takes a long breath. Nothing that concerns you. Old ghosts trying to surface. Happens sometimes when you live long enough. But her hands shake when she pockets the phone. And the readiness in her posture has intensified. She's not just alert now, she's activated. We should continue tomorrow, she says. I need to make some calls, verify some things. Ma'am, if you're in some kind of trouble, Drummond starts. I'm not. I'm just being cautious. Old habits. She stands, but the movement is different, more deliberate, like she's calculating exits and threat vectors simultaneously. Tomorrow, story 5. The day I qualified at 70 and lost my daughter. Be here. Same time. She walks to the door, pauses. And if anyone asks about me, if anyone comes looking, you haven't seen me today. Understood. Drummond nods slowly. Understood, Gunny. After she leaves, the three of them stand in silence. What was that about? Wesley asks. Drummond shakes his head. I don't know, but Gunny doesn't spook easily. If she's worried, there's reason. He looks at Dakota. That video of yours? It's at 12 million views now. Lot of attention. Lot of eyes. Maybe too many eyes. You think someone's targeting her? Dakota asks. I think someone from her past just made contact. And Gunny's reaction suggests whoever it is shouldn't exist anymore. He moves to the window, scans the parking lot. She mentions someone died in 2004. Someone she went to a funeral for. Someone who apparently isn't dead. That's impossible, Wesley says. In Gunny's world, Drummond says quietly, impossible is just a starting point. Outside, Josephine Blackwood walks to her rental car. She doesn't get in immediately. Instead, she scans the area. Professional, methodical, looking for surveillance, looking for threats. Then she pulls out her phone, dials a number from memory. The conversation lasts 3 minutes. When it ends, she sits in her car for another 5 minutes, just thinking. Finally, she starts the engine and drives away. Dakota's phone buzzes, a new comment on her video. From an account with no profile picture. Posted 2 minutes ago, it reads, "Tell Josephine that Elizabeth Reeves sends her regards. We need to talk about Beirut." Dakota shows it to Drummond. His face goes pale. "Elizabeth Reeves," he says slowly. "That's impossible. She died in a helicopter crash in 2004. I saw the casualty report myself." "Apparently not," Wesley says. Drummond pulls out his phone, starts making calls. Tomorrow's story 5 just became a lot more complicated. And Josephine Blackwood's past just became very present. The third morning arrives with Dakota already on edge. That comment. "Elizabeth Reeves sends her regards. We need to talk about Beirut." She'd shown it to Drummond yesterday. Watched his face go pale. Watched him make 3 calls before telling her and Wesley to go home that he'd handle it. The video now has 22 million views. The algorithm has latched onto something. But Dakota can't shake the feeling that visibility has consequences. That some people are better off invisible. She arrives at Building 427 30 minutes early. Wesley's already there. So is Drummond. And sitting on the couch looking like she hasn't slept at all is Josephine Blackwood. "You saw the comment," Josephine says. Not a question. "Yes, ma'am. Elizabeth Reeves, she was my spotter. Beirut, 1983. We spent 72 hours in a hide site together. She was 23. I was 35. Best spotter I ever worked with." Josephine's voice is flat, emotionless. "In 2004, she was listed as killed in a helicopter crash, Iraq. I attended her memorial service. Watched them fold the flag. Watched her mother cry." Pause. "Apparently she didn't die." Drummond leans against the wall. "I made calls, pulled what strings I still have. Elizabeth Reeves's death was classified, details sealed. The crash happened, but they never recovered her body. Never confirmed." "Why would they fake her death?" Wesley asks. Josephine and Drummond exchange looks. "Because sometimes operators go so deep into black operations that coming back isn't possible," Josephine says. "Sometimes they have to die officially to continue working unofficially. And sometimes," Drummond adds, "they come back when they need something." Dakota's stomach tightens. What does she want? "I don't know yet," Josephine says, "but I'm meeting her tonight, after I finish story 5. After I tell you about the day I qualified at 70 and lost everything that mattered." She settles into her position on the couch. But today she's not resting. She's coiled. Ready. Story 5, 2018. I'm 70 years old. Teaching is my life. The only thing I ever wanted. The thing I waited 43 years to do officially. The Marine Corps Institute's new policy. All instructors must requalify annually. Same standards as active snipers, no exceptions for age. No accommodations for experience. Her posture tightens incrementally. Younger instructors complained, said it was unfair, said veteran instructors like me had already proven ourselves. That requalification was bureaucratic nonsense designed to force older instructors into retirement. They were probably correct, but I didn't care about their motives. I cared about the standard. Dakota leans forward. This is the story that matters. The one about proving yourself when everyone expects failure. "The qualification course is brutal," Josephine says, "designed for 25-year-olds at peak physical condition. 5 days of testing, physical fitness, land navigation, marksmanship under stress, culminating in a 1,400-yard shot, moving target, time limit, variable win." 8 other instructors were testing that cycle, ages 30 to 45, all men, all watching the 70-year-old woman waiting to see when she'd break. No bitterness colors her delivery, just observation. "My daughter called the night before testing began. First conversation in months. She was 42, living in Virginia, married, 2 children I barely knew." Josephine's expression shifts. Something underneath cracks slightly. "She begged me to retire. Said I'd proven enough. Said I'd spent my whole life chasing this and now I had it. Time to rest. Time to be a grandmother. Time to choose family over core. I told her I couldn't. Not yet. Not while I could still meet the standard. She asked, 'When will it be enough, Mom? When will you choose us?' I said, 'After this qualification. After I prove I can still meet the standard. Then we'll talk about retirement.'" Wesley's expression says he knows how this ends. Knows the pattern. Day 1, physical fitness test, 3-mile run, pull-ups, crunches. The same test every Marine takes. "I finished. Dead last, but I finished." Younger instructors were sympathetic, concerned. One suggested I could request a medical waiver. age-based exception. No one would think less of me. I told him I would think less of me. Day 2, land navigation, 12 miles, rough terrain, heavy pack, find 6.8-hour limit. My knees were screaming by mile 4. My back was agony by mile 8. But I found all 6 points, came in with 20 minutes to spare. Medics wanted to examine me, asked if I needed assistance. I told them I needed water and to be left alone. Josephine's hands move unconsciously, demonstrating patterns ingrained over decades. Day 3, marksmanship, multiple distances, multiple positions, iron sights first, then scopes, then night vision, then degraded equipment, testing everything we teach. This was my domain, where 70-year-old eyes and 45 years of experience mattered more than young bodies. I scored perfect. Every distance, every position, every scenario. The young instructors stopped looking sympathetic, started looking concerned, started realizing the old woman might actually pass. Dakota can visualize it, the shift in atmosphere, the recognition that this wasn't theater. Day 4, stress scenarios, shooting after physical exertion, shooting with distractions, shooting under simulated combat conditions. They made us run, then shoot, sprint, then shoot, low crawl through mud, then shoot. My body was failing, lungs burning, heart hammering, vision swimming. But my hands were steady. Fundamentals don't care about pain. Breathing control works regardless of exhaustion. I passed, not perfectly, but passing. That night I collapsed in my quarters, physically couldn't move for 2 hours. Just lay on the floor, muscles seizing, wondering if my daughter was right, if this was madness, if proving a point was worth destroying myself. Her voice drops. Then I thought about Derek Holloway, about the 800 students who'd graduated my program, about the 3 who'd died and the 801 who'd lived. I got up, took painkillers, iced my joints, prepared for day 5. Silence holds the room. Final test, 1,400 yards, target moves at variable speed on a track, wind gusting 15 to 20 miles per hour, 10-minute time limit, 1 shot. 8 instructors, all younger, all stronger, all confident. We drew lots for shooting order. I drew last. Josephine's eyes close. She's back there. 2018, 70 years old and everything on the line. First instructor shot at minute 3, calculated quickly, trusted his equipment, hit the target. Outer ring, passing shot. Second instructor took 6 minutes, more careful, better wind reading. Inner ring, good shot. Third, fourth, fifth instructors, various times, various scores, all passing. Sixth instructor, young guy, 32, exceptional talent, took 8 minutes, bullseye, perfect score. The range erupted, his buddies cheering, congratulating. Seventh instructor, rushed, nervous, took 4 minutes, missed completely, failed. Then it was my turn. Dakota realizes she's holding her breath. I approach the firing line, set up my rifle, Marine issue M40, same model I'd been shooting for 30 years. Familiar, reliable, mine. Range officer called time, 10 minutes starting now. I didn't look at the target, not yet. First I watched. Grass at 400 yards, moving left to right, medium speed. Mirage at 800 yards, shimmer indicated wind shift, right to left, starting to gust. Flags at 1,200 yards, showing the true picture. Wind was rotating, clockwise pattern, every 90 seconds full rotation. Her hands move, calculating invisible numbers. I had to time the shot for the right point in the rotation. When the wind aligned from my position to target, when all variables converged. 4 minutes gone, just watching, younger instructors getting impatient, whispering, wondering if the old woman had frozen. 5 minutes, I started my breathing cycle, slowing heart rate, preparing the shot. 6 minutes, wind was starting its rotation, moving from left to right. Soon it would shift back. 7 minutes, target was at far end of its track, moving right to left, wrong timing. Wait. 8 minutes, range officer called out, 2 minutes remaining. Young instructors thought I'd run out of time, thought I'd miscalculated, thought age had finally beaten me. Josephine's smile is fierce. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Wind completed its rotation. Aligned perfectly, grass mirage flags all indicating same direction, same speed. Target was center track, moving slowly, perfect position. I took the shot. Silence stretches. Wesley's hands are gripped together. Bullseye, dead center, Perfect score. The range didn't erupt in cheers, stunned silence, then slow applause, building. The younger instructors clapping, range officers, command staff who'd come to watch. I'd done it, 70 years old, qualified, proven, still capable. Josephine opens her eyes. The triumph in the story doesn't reach her expression. I walked off the range. Perfect score. Only instructor that day to achieve it. Evaluators were impressed. Congratulatory. Talking about how I'd set an example. How I'd proven age was just a number. I got back to my quarters, called my daughter to tell her. Her voice cracks. She didn't answer. I tried again. Voicemail. Third call. She picked up. I could hear she'd been crying. I said I did it. I qualified. Perfect score. She said, "Congratulations, Mom. You chose the Marines again." I said, "What do you mean I told you I needed to prove this?" She said, "You always need to prove something. You've been proving something my entire life. When is it enough? When do I get a mother instead of a legend?" Dakota's hand covers her mouth. I tried to explain. This was important. This mattered. Students needed to know that age doesn't mean obsolete, that fundamentals outlast youth. She said I needed to know that I matter more than your students, but I don't. I never have. She told me to make a choice, her or the Marines, family or service, be a grandmother or be an instructor, but not both. She was done sharing me. Josephine's hands shake visibly now. I told her I couldn't quit, not after qualifying, not after proving I could still do it. Just one more year, maybe two, until my body actually gave out. She said, "Then don't call me again until you're ready to be my mother." The line went dead. Outside Fort Bragg wakes, soldiers beginning their day, training, preparing, learning from instructors who learned from Josephine Blackwood. That was 2018. I haven't spoken to my daughter in 6 years. Wesley's voice barely whispers. Did you try? Every week for the first year, calls, texts, letters, all unanswered. After that, I stopped, told myself she needed space, told myself she'd come around when ready, told myself a lot of things that weren't true. Josephine stands, walks to the window. The movement is slower today, the weight visible. I kept teaching. 2018, 2019, best years of my career. Students were thriving. Passing rates stayed at 40%, but the quality was exceptional. Every graduate was prepared, ready, lethal when needed, disciplined, always. I told myself that mattered more than my daughter's calls, more than my grandchildren's birthdays, more than being there for people who shared my blood. I told myself service was enough. She turns from the window. Story 6, 2020. I'm 72 years old. COVID pandemic. World is shutting down, but military training continues. Snipers are essential. Training doesn't stop. I'm teaching a class of 30, good students, focused, dedicated. Week 8, demonstration day. I always demonstrate the final shot before students attempt it. Show them it's possible. Show them what right looks like. 1,000 yards. Standard demonstration. I've made this shot 10,000 times. Her voice goes flat. I set up, went through my routine, wind reading, breathing, sight picture. The sight picture was wrong. Blurry, unfocused. I blinked, adjusted, tried to clear my vision. Still blurry. Students were watching, waiting. I couldn't show weakness, couldn't admit something was wrong. I took the shot. Missed by 8 inches. Dakota's intake of breath is sharp. First miss in 45 years of competition and teaching. First time I'd failed a demonstration. Students thought it was a fluke, bad luck. Even the best miss sometimes. I knew better. Josephine returns to the couch. I went to the doctor that afternoon, eye exam, diagnostic tests. Results came back in 3 days. Macular degeneration, early stage, progressive, incurable. My distance vision was degrading, slowly, inevitably. Within 5 years, I'd be unable to shoot competitively, unable to demonstrate, unable to do the job. Her posture becomes defensive. I could have hidden it, taught classroom only, let assistant instructors handle demonstrations, stayed in as long as possible. But I remembered Derek Holloway, remembered what happens when instructors don't hold themselves to the same standards as students. I submitted retirement papers the next day. Command tried to convince me to stay, offered accommodations, modified duties, desk assignments. I told them I'm a shooter who can't shoot. That's not an instructor. That's dead weight. I retired September 2020, 72 years old, 45 years after my first national championship, 6 years after finally getting to serve officially. The room feels compressed, heavy. My husband had died in 2015, heart attack. Sudden. One day there, next day gone. My daughter hadn't spoken to me since 2018. I had no students, no mission, no purpose. I was invisible. Wesley's voice cracks. What did you do? Existed. That's all. Woke up, went through motions, attended veteran reunions like the one where you found me, sat on panels nobody attended, wrote articles nobody read. For 4 years, I was the thing I'd feared most my entire life, obsolete, forgotten, a relic. She looks at Dakota. Then 2 days ago, you tried to mark my face. My body reacted on instinct. Training that will never leave. Reflexes that outlast purpose. Your video went viral. 22 million views now. Comments from people I haven't heard from in decades. Students, fellow instructors, veterans who'd forgotten I existed. Yesterday, Fort Bragg Command called, asked if I'd demonstrate, show the new generation what the old ways look like. Josephine's smile is small and complicated. I said yes, not because I need validation, because for 4 years I've been invisible and suddenly someone sees me again. She stands. The demonstration is this afternoon. You're invited. You started this. Might as well see how it ends. But first, she adds, checking her phone, I need to meet Elizabeth Reeves. Find out what she wants. Find out why she's alive when she should be dead. Drummond steps forward. I'm coming with you. No, she specified alone. If I bring backup, she won't show. Gunny, that's not safe. Cole, I've been not safe for 50 years. I'll manage. She walks toward the door, pauses. The demonstration is at 1600 hours, range 12. Be there. After that, we finish this story properly. After she leaves, Drummond turns to Dakota and Wesley. You two are going to that meeting. Covert, distant, just observation. If anything goes wrong, you call me immediately. I thought she said alone, Wesley says. She did, but I don't trust ghosts from the past, and neither should you. At 1300 hours, Josephine Blackwood sits in a rental car outside an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Fayetteville. This is the address Elizabeth Reeves provided, isolated, no witnesses, perfect for a meeting that shouldn't happen. She checks her sidearm, still carries one despite retirement. Old habits. A figure emerges from the warehouse shadows. Female, 50-something, moving with the careful precision of someone who's spent decades in hostile environments. Elizabeth Reeves looks older, harder, but alive. Josephine exits her vehicle. They stand facing each other across a 20 feet of cracked pavement. You're supposed to be dead, Josephine says. I was, for 20 years. Then your video went viral and I couldn't stay dead anymore. What do you want, Elizabeth? To warn you, that phone call you received? That wasn't me. Someone's using my identity. Someone who knows about Beirut. Josephine's hand moves closer to her concealed weapon. Who? I don't know yet, but someone's been digging into our old operations. Classified files that should be sealed. Someone with access and motivation. Why target me? Because you're visible now. Because that video made you famous. Because famous people are easier to pressure than invisible ones. Elizabeth steps closer. Josephine, we did things in Beirut that are still classified. Things that could end careers, destroy reputations. If someone has that information and wants to use it, I'm a 76-year-old retired instructor. I have no career to end, no reputation that matters. You have students, 847 of them. What happens when someone reveals that their legendary instructor violated rules of engagement in 1983? That the woman who taught them ethics broke ethics herself? Josephine's jaw sets. That situation was authorized. Command approved it. Command denied it existed. Officially, we were never in that position. Officially, that shot never happened. If it comes out now, Command will disavow. You'll take the fall alone. From 300 yards away, hidden behind a dumpster, Dakota and Wesley watch through binoculars. Can you hear what they're saying? Wesley whispers. No, but Gunny looks pissed. Back at the warehouse, Josephine and Elizabeth continue their conversation. What do you want me to do? Josephine asks. Disappear again, cancel the demonstration, go back to being invisible. Let this die down. No. Josephine, I spent 43 years invisible, 4 more years after retirement. I'm done being invisible. If someone wants to dig up the past, let them. I'll deal with the consequences. Elizabeth shakes her head. You don't understand. This isn't about you. It's about everyone you trained, every shot they made, every kill they confirmed. If your credibility gets destroyed, their training gets questioned. Their missions get reviewed. People could die because intelligence gets second-guessed. Josephine hadn't considered that angle. Who's behind this? I don't know. But they called me too, offered money for information about you, about Beirut, about what really happened. Did you take it? What do you think? I think you've been dead for 20 years and dead people don't need money. So either you're really here to warn me or you're here to confirm information they already have. Elizabeth's expression doesn't change. You always were suspicious. I'm alive because I'm suspicious. They stand in silence for a moment. The demonstration is happening, Josephine says finally. Whatever consequences come, I'll handle them. But I'm not disappearing again. Even if it costs your students their reputations. My students earn their reputations through performance, not through my validation. They'll survive. Elizabeth nods slowly. Then I've done what I came to do. Warned you. What happens next is on you. She turns to leave, pauses. For what it's worth, Josephine, I'm glad you're visible again. The Corps needs people like you, even if they don't appreciate it. She disappears back into the warehouse shadows. Josephine stands alone in the parking lot for a long moment. Then she gets in her car and drives away. Dakota and Wesley emerge from hiding. What just happened? Wesley asks. I don't know, but we need to tell Drummond before the demonstration. At 1600 hours, Rifle Range 12 is crowded. Word spread, the viral video, the legendary instructor. The demonstration pitting old school against new technology. 50 people gathered. Students, instructors, command staff, watching. At the firing line, 3 young Marine sniper instructors wait. The best the base has. Ages 28 to 35. All trained in latest techniques. All equipped with newest technology. Next to them, a civilian tech representative stands beside a laptop. The AI ballistic computer, military grade. Capable of calculating wind distance, temperature, humidity, Coriolis effect, and dozens of other variables in seconds. Josephine approaches. The crowd parts. Drummond is there. Dakota and Wesley have already briefed him on the warehouse meeting. His expression is concerned. Gunny, we need to talk about after, Josephine says. First, let's do this. The base commander steps forward. Lieutenant Colonel, young for his rank. Master Guns, thank you for agreeing to this. The demonstration is simple, 1,000 yards, standard target. You'll shoot using your methods. Our instructors will use AI-assisted calculations. We'll see which approach is more effective. Josephine nods. One condition, I shoot last. Let me see what technology can do. The commander agrees. First instructor sets up. Confident, trained in latest methods. He inputs data into the AI system. Distance, wind speed from electronic meter, temperature, humidity. The computer calculates. Displays the solution. 2.1 mils right, 0.3 mils up. The tech rep announces. Instructor adjusts, fires, hit, 4 inches from center. Good shot, applause. Second instructor repeats the process. AI calculation, adjustment, shot, hit, 3 inches from center, better, more applause. Third instructor, same process. AI says 2.1 mils right, hit, 5 inches from center, still good. Tech rep is pleased. Consistent results. Technology works. Then Josephine steps to the line. She refuses the AI system, refuses the wind meter, refuses all electronic assistance. Just the rifle, she says. She sets up. Crowd quiets. Dakota watches from 30 feet away. Phone recording. But this time it feels different. This isn't content. This is history. Josephine closes her eyes, feels wind on her face, on her neck. Left side cooler, right side with slight breeze. Opens her eyes, watches grass at 400 yards, swaying right to left. Medium speed, mirage at 700 yards. Shimmer showing wind shift. Starting to slow. I calculated 2.1 mils. Static number, based on current conditions. But Josephine sees what's coming. Sees the wind beginning to die. Sees the shift happening in real time. 30 seconds. That's how long she has before the wind changes completely. Breathing cycle. Heart rate slowing. Rifle settles. Sight picture clear enough. Not perfect. Her eyes aren't what they were. But clear enough. Wind drops. Grass slows. Mirage steadies. 1.7 mils. That's the correction now. Not 2.1. She adjusts. Breath. Hold. Shot breaks, nobody moves. Target too far to see impact with naked eye. Spotting scope operator calls it. Bullseye, dead center. Silence. Then shock, then celebration. Tech rep is speechless. How did you? The AI said 2.1 mils. Josephine stands. AI was correct for the moment you measured, but wind doesn't stay static. I predicted the change. Calculated for what was coming, not what was happening. She looks at the three young instructors. Technology enhances judgment, doesn't replace it. The computer told you what to do. I felt what was about to happen. There's a difference, Reprim. Drummond is grinning. Base commander approaches. Master Guns, we need you back. Not as an instructor, as a consultant. Teach our instructors to teach. Show them what you showed us today. Josephine hesitates. I'm 76. My eyes are failing. I can't shoot like I used to. You just outshot AI and three of our best instructors. At 1,000 yards, my limit now, used to shoot 1,400. 1,000 is better than most. And we don't need you to shoot. We need you to teach. Josephine looks at Dakota, at Wesley, at Drummond, at the crowd of students and instructors who watched a 76-year-old woman do the impossible. I need to make a call first, she says. She walks away from the crowd, pulls out her phone, but before she can dial it rings. Unknown number. She answers. Hello. A woman's voice? Familiar. Older than Josephine remembers but unmistakable. Mom. Josephine's knees nearly buckle. Sarah, I saw your video, the new one, the demonstration. It has 5 million views already. Everyone's sharing it, talking about you. I didn't mean for it to go viral. I know, but I'm glad it did. I saw your face when you made that shot, when you proved yourself again. You looked complete. Josephine's vision blurs. I was, for the first time in 4 years. Sarah's voice cracks. I'm sorry, Mom, for the ultimatum, for 6 years of silence. I was angry. I wanted you to choose me. But I see now that teaching is choosing. You were saving lives. I just wanted to matter more than strangers. You do matter. You always did. I just didn't know how to show it. Can I visit? Can we try again? Josephine sits on a bench, the Fort Bragg sun beating down. The rifle range behind her. The life she built. The life she lost. The possibility of something new. Yes, please, I'd like that. I have questions about your service, about your life, things I never asked because I was too angry. I have stories, 6 of them. I've been telling them to 2 young soldiers, but I'd rather tell them to you. They talk for 20 minutes, making plans, building bridges, beginning to repair what 6 years broke. When Josephine returns to the range, Drummond knows immediately. She called. She called. What did you tell the commander? Josephine looks at the rifle range, the students, the instructors, the legacy she built. I told him yes, with conditions, part-time only, 2 days per month maximum, because I have a daughter to see, grandchildren to meet, 6 years to make up for. He'll agree. Maybe, but I need this more than they need me. Need purpose, need to be seen. Need to pass on what I know before it dies with me. But not at the cost of my daughter. Not again. 6 months pass. Josephine Blackwood consults at Quantico, 2 days per month, teaching instructors to teach, showing them fundamentals beneath technology. Her classes are legendary, hard, uncompromising. But students graduate prepared. Dakota Sullivan's video series on Josephine's 6 lessons has 40 million combined views. Veterans sharing stories. Young people asking questions. On a Saturday morning, Sarah visits Quantico, brings her children, Josephine's grandchildren. Ages 12 and 14, Josephine takes them to the civilian range, shows them fundamentals, iron sights, wind reading, breathing control, the same lessons she's taught for 45 years. But this time she's teaching family. Sarah sets up, her first time shooting. Josephine guides her. Feel the wind, don't rush, breathing matters more than aim. Sarah takes the shot, 500 yards, hits the target, outer ring. Good, Josephine says, again. They shoot for 2 hours, mother and daughter, learning together, building something new. On the drive back, Sarah asked the question that's been waiting. Was it worth it, Mom? The 43 years waiting, the 6 years teaching, losing me for 6 years. Was it worth it? Josephine is quiet for a long time. I trained 847 Marine snipers. 117 confirmed kills among them, 3 deaths. 844 came home. I changed Marine Corps doctrine, influenced a generation of instructors, proved women belonged in combat roles. I sacrificed marriage, sacrificed family, sacrificed you. She looks at her daughter. Was it worth it? I saved 844 lives, but I lost the one life that should have mattered most, yours. I don't know if that trade was worth it, but it's the trade I made, and I have to live with it. Sarah reaches across, takes her mother's hand. You're here now. That's what matters. Not much time left. I'm 76. Macular degeneration is progressing. Then we'll use what we have. No more waiting, no more sacrificing. Just time. Together. They drive in silence. Comfortable now. 6 years beginning to heal. But Josephine's phone buzzes. Unknown number again. She ignores it. The number calls back. 3 times. Finally, she answers. What? Elizabeth Reeves's voice. Turn on the news, now. Josephine pulls over, uses her phone to access news. The headline makes her blood freeze. Classified documents leaked 1983. Beirut operation violated ROE. The story details an operation, a sniper shot, a target that wasn't authorized, a civilian contractor who took a shot outside approved parameters. Josephine Blackwood's name is mentioned. Elizabeth Reeves's name is mentioned. The story claims they violated rules of engagement. That command denied authorizing the operation. That the official record shows no such mission. Sarah reads over her mother's shoulder. Mom, what is this? Josephine's hands shake. This is the cost of being visible. This is what happens when you step out of shadows. Her phone rings again. Drummond. Gunny, I'm seeing the news. Command is already asking questions. They want a statement. What kind of statement? They want you to deny it. Say the documents are fabricated. Say you never violated ROE. But I did violate ROE. The shot was necessary. The target was valid. But command couldn't officially approve it, so they gave verbal authorization and denied it on paper. Then you need to say that. And throw command under the bus, reveal that they authorized operations off-book that'll end careers, destroy the very system that trained my students. Silence on the line. What are you going to do, Gunny? Josephine looks at her daughter, at the life she's just started rebuilding. I'm going to tell the truth. All of it. Let the consequences fall where they will. Gunny, that could. I know what it could do. But I'm done with shadows, done with being invisible. If being visible means facing consequences for things I did 50 years ago, then that's the price. She ends the call. Sarah's expression is complicated. You don't have to do this, Mom. You could deny it. Stay quiet. Keep what we just started building. Josephine shakes her head. I taught 847 students that integrity matters, that truth matters, that fundamentals include moral fundamentals. I can't teach them that and then lie when it costs me something. Even if it costs you your reputation, your legacy. Especially then, that's when it matters most. 2 days later, Josephine Blackwood sits in front of a congressional committee. The hearing is closed session, classified, but the transcript will eventually be released. She tells the truth. All of it. The operation in Beirut, the verbal authorization from command, the shot she took, the target that was eliminated, the official denial that followed. She names names, provides dates, corroborates everything with Elizabeth Reeves, who testifies via secure video link. The committee is split. Some members want prosecution, some want commendation, some want it buried again. In the end, they decide on official censure, a letter in her file. Acknowledgement that she violated written EROE, even if verbally authorized. Her consulting contract with Quantico is not renewed. Some of her former students distance themselves. Others defend her publicly. The Marine Corps issues a statement. Master Gunnery Sergeant Josephine Blackwood served with distinction. The incidents in question occurred in a different era under different operational parameters. We acknowledge complexity of the situation and consider the matter closed. Boy, it's not exoneration, but it's not prosecution. Josephine returns to her quiet life. No consulting, no teaching, just her daughter, her grandchildren, the family she almost lost. Dakota's final video posts 3 weeks after the hearing. It's titled The Final Lesson from Josephine Blackwood. The video shows Josephine and Sarah shooting together. Mother and daughter, learning, connecting. Josephine's voice narrates, I spent 43 years waiting to serve, 6 years teaching, 4 years invisible, 6 years estranged from my daughter. I can shoot better than AI at 76. I've trained nearly 1,000 snipers. I've changed doctrine and proven that age is just data, not destiny. But the shot I'm proudest of isn't at 1,000 yards. It's teaching my daughter fundamentals at 500, building something with her that I should have built decades ago. I told you 6 lessons, 1 master fundamentals. They outlast everything. 2, patience isn't waiting, it's seeing opportunity. 3, carry your failures. They make you human. 4, technology enhances judgment, never replaces it. 5, know when to stop. Listen to your body and your heart. 6, purpose matters, but so do people. Don't sacrifice one for the other completely. I violated my own 6th lesson for 50 years, chose purpose over people, over family, over the one person who should have mattered most. I'm 76, my eyes are failing. My consulting contract is gone, my reputation is complicated. But my daughter speaks to me, my grandchildren call me Gunny. I'm teaching them to shoot. Some targets aren't worth hitting if you lose yourself aiming for them. I'm Josephine Blackwood. I learned to rest without sleeping so others could sleep without fear. But I'm also learning something new at a 76. How to actually sleep again. How to let go. How to be seen for who I am, not just what I did. How to be a mother, finally, after all these years. The video fades to black. Text appears. Josephine Blackwood continues private instruction for her family. She sees her daughter monthly. Her grandchildren are learning to shoot. Derek Holloway's name remains on the memorial wall at Camp Pendleton. Josephine visits twice yearly. Still carries his photo. Coleman Drummond is now Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Still teaches fundamentals first. Still tells Josephine's stories. Dakota Sullivan was accepted to officer candidate school. Plans to become a sniper instructor. Keeps the marker in a shadow box. Elizabeth Reeves returned to her classified work. Her current status unknown. 847 Marine snipers carry Josephine Blackwood's lessons into the field. Her legacy measures in lives saved, not shots taken. The final frame holds. In memory of all the instructors who taught the teachers. In honor of all the veterans who served in shadows. In recognition of all the parents who chose service and paid the price. May we see them. May we honor them. May we learn from them before they become invisible again.